What's going on, Chicago? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Sports Podcast. Join the Monsters of the Madhouse. I'm your host, Brandon Duplessis, joined by Darius Lockhart. Darius, how you doing, man?
Everything's good, man. How you?
Good, man. Just trying to stick out this weather. Got pretty nasty there for a minute, but it's looking like it's going to pass here shortly. We did have Ed for a second there. We'll see if he pops back on. The topic that Trax chose for tonight's episode, I love, man, and I'm sure you and I, Darius, could beat this thing to death. There's a lot to unpack here because as good as an offseason as we had, and Ryan Poles has, been magic, man. Couldn't say anything less about the roster moves he's made, the additions he's made, the trades, even the draft selections. I was really happy with the draft. The decision to retain Matt Eberflus was probably my biggest question mark looming over Ryan Poles' tenure so far as the general manager. And, I don't think that Poles will necessarily sink with that ship. So if he made the wrong decision and Flus doesn't seem like he's the right guy for the job next year, that's why I find this so interesting, this topic, is because DraftKings has him as a plus 900 odds to possibly be coach of the year, which is favored. But at the same time, I could very easily see him being the first head coach that's fired halfway through a season by the Chicago Bears because they've never fired a coach during the season. Right. So I'm going to ask you right off the bat, Darius, how did you feel when when Ryan Poles, I should say, decided to stick with Matt Eberflus as the head coach?
I wasn't too upset about it. I just applaud Poles for having the cojones to stick next to his guy. Just like players need time to develop, coaches do too. This will be Eberflus' third year with us. A better team should render better results. Now, one thing I can say about last year is that through all the things that went on, our defense didn't quit. The players didn't quit on Eberflus. So that was a sign for me to know that he hadn't lost the team. Because you can tell when a coach has lost the team, man. It gets ugly, and some of the action out there on the field, man, it's glaring. You know what I mean? And one thing about the Bears, the players stuck with them. So I think it was an easier decision for Poles to stick with him because the players didn't quit on him. And then at the end of the day, okay, you fire him. Who's the guy you're bringing in here? You know what I mean? Like, who's the next guy?
Yeah, I do think Poles. I don't know that there was a single coach out there that Ryan Poles loved, and he did make the decision to retain Eberflus before guys like Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick became candidates for possible head coaches. So I think when he had informed Flus that he was going to remain the head coach, the coaching pool was still pretty weak, I think. And from what I've read, is there was never a chance Jim Harbaugh was going to coach the head coach of the Bears. I don't remember who. There's somebody in the organization that he doesn't necessarily get along with. I do think Kevin Warren, though, did like.
Yeah, it's the Kevin Warren
thing. Kevin Warren, the guy who had an issue with him? Yeah. Okay, so, yeah, I would have liked to see them interview some of those guys. I would have liked to see, Belichick or Vrabel be brought in the building. But the unfortunate part of that is you kind of got to pull the trigger on letting Flus go if you're just going to be bringing guys in here to do an interview with. I don't know what that's going to say to your coach if you start interviewing other guys and then you tell Flus he's going to stick around. I'm not sure how he'd feel about that. I'm sure he'd still love to coach the Bears. Yes, go ahead, Buck. Sorry. How do you feel about that?
I've never seen that situation, Brandon, where they would interview potential coaches before firing a coach. Never seen that happen.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's happened, and I think it's something they do kind of behind the scenes. I'm sure they give a phone call to somebody without the guy who's running the show.
About it. I bet that happens all the time. But actual interviews that everybody knows about, bringing guys in, never seen that happen. But I'll tell you what. I want to hit on a couple things. Sorry, I was late, man. I'm old. I've lost track of time. but at least I can hear you now, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
That helps a lot. This thing about whether they should have kept Eberflus or not, I was telling people way early, all along, when the whole, the conversation about that possibility for the fans was happening for quite a long time. And I said the same thing. I said the same thing to anybody that I was in a conversation with every time, and I still say it's the same way. His job was never in trouble, Brandon. You know why? He did exactly what was asked of him. He put that team out there. He showed people that they can play and made sure, if at all possible, they lost them games because they wanted them to lose them games. They wanted draft position, especially the teardown year.
Yeah, they
could have won games. They could have won games that they did. They gave back that year. Meanwhile, last year they started the year doing the same damn thing. Listen, man, I was at that Broncos game when we were up 21 points with less than 3 minutes.
Yep.
I'm getting an alert here. Let me try to get rid of that. Okay. When we were up 21 points with less than 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and look, there was the Justin did that fumble that cost us a touchdown. So now it's 14 points. But listen, after that, they went to prevent defense and let them march all the way down the field. And what they do when they got the ball again, they did the same damn thing, let them march all the way down the field. Bullshit, man. If you're trying to win that game and prevent didn't work for you the first time and you went from 21 to only up 7, you're not in prevent anymore. They wanted to lose that game.
And I do think, honestly, I think the Bears in the 2 years he's been head coach, or 3 years, sorry, 3? I do know they've tied a record over his tenure for the most double-digit fourth quarter collapses, because there was the game against Green Bay 2 years ago where they had the 18-point lead in the fourth. Yeah. There's the game against Cleveland last year, the game against Denver last year, and the game against Detroit. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, they did win 4 of the last 6 games. I don't know that I would agree with you, though, Buck, that his job was never at any risk. I mean, if they hadn't gotten that thing together after he acquired Montez Sweat and started to apply a little pressure.
Midway through the season last year, they started to try to win. The first half of the season last year, they had no interest in winning a game. Now the players did. They didn't want to lose. Players don't like losing. But I'm telling you, the coaching staff was told to do whatever you can to show that we can play. But in the end, don't, if at all possible, don't win. Yeah. What they were told. He did what he was told, so his job was safe.
I think the Bears
did exactly what he was told.
I think the Bears towards the end of last season, though, I think that coaching staff had a little bit of belief in playoff hopes. I really do, until they lost that game.
They did believe. Shit, they were in it till the last week.
Yeah. And I think you guys are both right, man. I can certainly side with Ed, and I can side with you too, Brandon. But I mean, I was more shocked of the Eberflus hire than the Bears retaining him in the first place. Because I think the pool was a lot deeper pool when he was hired than it was, once he was retained.
There was surely some more well-known names. That's a thing.
Right. Well, it didn't necessarily benefit the Bears last year to lose in any way, because remember, the pick they used to get Caleb Williams was somebody else's.
That's true. So, but I think once they seen a path that we could make the playoffs, I think they put it in gear a little bit more. But it didn't help us the fact that we played teams that were trying to lose too. You know what I'm saying?
They had a
Like,
pretty easy go at the end of the year. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
like the
they beat a good
Falcons,
Lions team. Yeah.
the Falcons, Vikings, even the Cards, man. Those guys weren't trying to win those games, man. You
Yeah,
know,
and
they was just trying to make it interesting.
I want to give a shout out to some of the guys here in the chat, guys. We have Trax as always. Ant Moss is with us. Thanks, Ant Moss, as always. Jojo Loco 5150. And Ant Moss asked a question that, I like the question, but I think it has kind of an obvious answer. If Eberflus does win Coach of the Year, do you then see him as a good coach? Of course, because it would take. He's going to have a good season to win Coach of the Year, and I don't just mean like 10 wins. I mean like possibly 11 wins and a win in the playoffs as well. I think you might. I don't know when the Coach of the Year award's given out. Is that pre-playoffs? That's post-playoffs, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I
going to
believe
be
post playoffs.
post playoffs. But I think he's really going to have to knock the ball out the park for him to win Coach of the Year. I mean, I don't think 11 games do it. I think it'd have to be somewhere along the lines of 13, 12 or 13.
He does that.
I mean, because
win that award.
the reason why I say that is because, we have guys, for right now, they have better teams, such as Detroit, Frisco, Baltimore, no one is screaming about those guys receiving that award. Even the guy in Green Bay, man. I mean, say what you want, damn Packers, but he has I think he has a just as good a shot as Eberflus to win it. Because
he's good head coach.
Yeah, I mean, and the players are really going to really have a say in the success of this team, because no matter how hard Eberflus or how strategic Eberflus is in coaching this team, if these guys don't come out with the right attitude and come out with the fire to win games, it's not going to matter anyway. Like, I've never seen a situation where a coach, could either be coach of the year or unemployed. You know what I mean? Like, the dynamic is so crazy, man.
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
He's on the hottest seat in Chicago still, to me.
But I don't even think the seat is that hot. Really, now, from a media standpoint and to give people something to talk about, maybe. And it all depends on who else is out there, that they feel like can get this team to the next level as well.
That's why I say that, though. I think that the Bears believe that Shane Waldron could possibly be an interim coach. I do think they feel they had to let's say this is a disaster, guys. I mean, this season's we went over the schedule last week. It couldn't play out any better for the Bears early in the year. Let's say they come out and they choke a couple of games away, right? Like
start like last year.
The Tennessee game, right? Some of these games where we're looking at it based on the roster that Poles has put together. We're looking at these games like the Bears should be winning against teams like Tennessee. Let's say they come out and they lose a couple of those. I don't think, like I said, guys, the Bears have they've never fired a coach midseason, but I don't think that Poles is going to sink with that ship. I think he thinks he's got a guy in Shane Waldron that probably could have done some head coaching interviews. And if Flus ain't getting it done, there's a possibility he's got the guy in the back burner that he could ride out for the rest of the year. And if they start poorly against the bad teams, knowing that the schedule is going to finish the way it does, where you're basically playing your division in the bottom quarter of the year, you're going to want to right that ship before it all falls apart, right? I mean, before your playoff hopes are gone, because they're looking at this year like, I think the head coach, I didn't say this a couple months ago, but after the draft and after the talent we've acquired, I think they're looking at this year like it is playoffs or bust. I know they want
playoffs. Absolutely.
They want Caleb to develop. That's the most important part. You know what I mean? Let's say they do. Let's say they win 10 games and miss the playoffs. I think they'll feel good if Caleb Williams progresses from week 1 to week 17. But make no mistake about it. These guys, they think that they have, like, he went out and traded to get Keenan Allen. Mm-hmm. He got drafted Rome Odunze. Poles very much thinks that he put together an offense across from a defense that can both win football games and take you to the playoffs. I truthfully believe that. So True. It's so weird to say because we're Bears fans. We know how this goes, guys. They don't fire coaches no matter how bad it gets. But this feels different. Ryan Poles is different, and I don't know that he's going to keep. And no matter what George tells him, I don't think he's going to keep that tradition going. I think if he's unhappy with the guy that he decided to stick with as head coach, I could see him making a move halfway through the year. If it seems necessary. I want to ask you guys. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Darius.
Now, to Eberflus' credit, the team has improved under his watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Poles did it again. Poles did exactly what he did for Jaylon Johnson, and you said it before on this show, Darius. He kind of, he said, prove it, and then he showed the team like if you do your job, you get paid.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Eberflus he went out and got Eberflus. Because let's be honest, Eberflus didn't have much on the defensive side in terms of pressure. It's really hard to play football when you're not getting any pressure on the opposing quarterback, no matter how bad the quarterback is.
Impossible.
He went out and got his guy. He got Sweat. He told Flus, there you go. There's your $100 million man. And Flus won games. And the Bears defense looked really damn good doing it. So I agree with you, man. I mean, Flus deserved another shot.
Yeah, he absolutely did. Now,
and funny thing is, from that period of time when they got Sweat and they started winning, I didn't see them playing prevent one damn down, and they shouldn't ever. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. The thing about Ryan Poles, he believes in giving, what we call the fair shot. I think once the defense is complete and he gets everything, that's needed on that end of the ball, and the team is not, is not looking like they're going to, kind of continue to excel and take things to another level. I think that's when Eberflus' job is on the line. Because some coaches are just good enough to get you to one spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then someone else comes in and raises the level a little bit higher. But who is that guy? Because with the Shane Waldron thing, okay, say God forbid, but say the reason why we're losing these first couple of games or losing games that we have no business losing, as in Tennessee, is because of lack of production on offense. Or say we lose, the first four or the first three, and it's because of lack of production offensively. Do we still fire? Or is Eberflus still on a hot seat in order for Shane Waldron to get this job?
No, they're gonna be calling for Shane's head, and it's also the offense is gonna be hard it's gonna be kind of hard too to. There's so many new pieces.
Yeah.
They're gonna take some time. You got to figure. So yeah, I agree with you there, Darius. The offense, if they do struggle early, that would likely be the reason. I would imagine you'd imagine Flus's defense won't miss a beat. They replaced Eddie Jackson with Kevin Byard, so they got better there, right?
Yeah, I think we all just need to exercise a little patience, man, and just stay even keel on the Eberflus front, because in our fan base, you have some guys that's all right with them, and you got some guys that really can't stand them. Like, I don't think he deserves the "I can't stand him" tag, because he's learning on the job, and it ain't like he started out with
no, God, it was awful.
A plethora of talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, somebody said in the comments, guys, we all know talent was not there for the last 2 years. It's not Flus's fault. Yeah. And I agree with that. He started off with a really bad roster, but let's be honest, guys. Professional sports, the dog eat dog world. He's 10-28. Yeah. That's his record as a head coach. The results don't get better and get better quick. We know how this business works, because that's what it is. And that brings me to my next question. I'll start with you, Buck. How do you guys feel about, you hire a staff that you trust, right? That's staffing any business is about bringing in people you trust to get their job done, so you don't have to worry about it, right?
Right.
How do we feel about the fact that Eberflus has publicly announced he'll still be calling the defensive plays, when he went and got a guy in Eric Washington that we all like? I mean, I think you would imagine Flus likes him. He hired him. How do you feel about the fact that he's still not willing to give that share of responsibility to his defensive coordinator? Because it's going to be tough to be a head coach of this team and still call that defense.
Well, that struck me as kind of odd in the beginning. And I thought, wow, man, that, obviously that would have had to been discussed. He would have discussed that with the Washington, right? When he's in talks of bringing him in, that, hey, man, I'm going to keep calling the plays. Because otherwise, I mean, you got a real disgruntled dude, I would think, right off the bat when you just hire him and then announce without talking to him about it that you're going to still be calling the defensive plays, right? So I assume that was discussed, but I think that he'll give. I really believe that somewhere during the season he's going to give that to him. I think he wants to kind of make sure that they're both on the same page, and he would do something similar, if not the same, as he would do, and kind of get him into his way of thinking. And when he feels like they're thinking in the same direction, I think he'll give that to him. But it's not the first time this has been done before. There's, look at Kansas City. Andy Reid calls offensive plays. How many different coordinators have been through there? Didn't get to call the offensive plays because Andy Reid's calling them. And yeah, it's and defensively we've saw similar. I can't really name them right off, but I know I've seen it before. So I'm not overly concerned about it. It was kind of a weird feeling. I thought it was a bit of a slap in the face to Washington a little bit, but I think they talked about it, and I think they got a plan for that.
Darius, do you think that at any juncture in the season he'll hand that responsibility off?
Well, it depends on how the season's going, man. Some guys, because he hears the rumblings just like everyone else, man. And some guys, if they're going to be fired, they'd rather go out on their own accord. You know what I mean? So he hears the rumblings, and if this ship is gonna go down, he's gonna be the one that's driving it. You know what I mean? So and like Ed said, this thing has been done before with some of these offensive coaches, Sean Payton, like I said, Andy Reid. Those guys, you see them on the sideline with that laminated sheet, and they calling. They got their markers, they marking things, and they in there. They got their headset on calling these plays. So it's nothing that hasn't been done before, and I do believe that Mr. Washington had an understanding of his role before he accepted his job. Absolutely. I refuse to believe that he came into this situation unknowing. Yeah. I think, as the season goes along, Eberflus may raise up off of him, but like I said, it is all depending on how the season goes.
And the one good thing Eberflus can look forward to in regards to responsibility and the fact that he's calling plays is, I really think he's just going to kind of tell Shane Waldron, like, you deal with that, man. Kind of like you guys remember the Titans. You just coach your defense. I'll coach offense. I think that's kind of the relationship. It's kind of how it's going to be. I think he's going to, he'll make personnel changes, and he'll probably make sure that, we're calling the right plays in the right situations, as Dustin said last week. But you got to think that Shane Waldron's going to be pretty much taking care of the offensive side of the football entirely. I mean, he's going to have total control over it, I would imagine. I do want to say this, guys. It looks like JoJo Local 5150 and Cliff, thanks for joining us as always. These guys are kind of yelling. It's like, the roster was terrible. The talent was terrible. Coaches don't throw interceptions. They don't fumble. I do want to say this, though. Like I said, I know you said you guys are a little late to the party. I did say this for a reason. Eberflus tied a record over the last 3 years for the most double-digit fourth quarter collapses. So If you ask me personally, if a team has shown you that they can they're good enough to put you in a position to win a football game, they give you a double-digit lead, they played well enough to do that, it is on coaching, if you ask me, when a team loses a double-digit lead at the end of a football game. I put that
I'm
on
with
coaching.
you, 100%.
Well, let me push back a little bit. I mean, because Eberflus had a strange mixture. He had a strange mixture. He had a mixture of very young players and players that's not very talented.
And he had a quarterback
You know?
that plays worst football at the end of a football game. That's the one place where Justin Fields helped lose some football games, and I'm probably gonna catch some grief for that.
And so, yeah, who cares? I mean, they'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because the truth is what the truth is, and the truth can never be considered disrespectful. Okay. Like I said, he had a mixture of very young guys and a roster. You know, not only that were they young, they weren't very talented. You know, and some guys, you know, they had to grow into their talent. You know, and just like with coaching, yeah, Eberflus had some blunders there. Like he had some play calls that'll have you scratching your head. You know, if it works, he's a genius. But you know, a lot of them didn't work. So you know, you had to question them. But that comes along with, you know what I'm saying, you know, him cutting his teeth in the coaching realm. You know, it's gonna happen. Like all coaches make mistakes. Sometimes players are, you know, the guys on the field are talented enough to cover the mistakes of the coaching, you know, of the coaching calls. You know, it was just one of the things that, you know, we didn't necessarily have the talent to cover up a bad call by the coaching staff.
You
And
know what
then
else you had?
another thing, I'm sorry, Ed, but another thing is that, you know, throughout the season, it wasn't a lot of communication between, you know, Eberflus and the offensive side of the ball. Like I hated to hear that, you know, because I think communication is a key. You know, even though Eberflus doesn't, you know, he doesn't call offensive plays, but he should, you know, have knowledge of what's going on, who's not doing what, who's not, you know, showing up, or what plays that these players prefer over, you know, what they don't. Like, you know, even if he's not making a decision, you know, things should have gotten back to him. You know, and I hope that's one thing I don't want to happen between, you know, Eberflus and this new guys on the coaching staff. You know, I hope communication is very wide and rampant, and everybody has an understanding of what's going on here. You know, because that's what it's going to take at the end of the day. I mean, because the players going to play, but the coaches, you know, there has to be a line of communication with them where everybody has an understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, one thing we can all be excited about in regards to Flus sticking around is the one thing that I kind of goes under the radar that I think he's done really well is develop young talent. I do think, at least, especially the players on the defensive side of the ball, guys like Jaquan, Brisker, Kyler Gordon, Gervon, Dexter, kind of towards the end of last year. These guys get better. You know what I mean? He has, you know, helped these young guys on at least, like I said, the defensive side of football. He's helped these young guys kind of adapt to the speed of the NFL. And they were good college players, and Poles is drafted well, but it still takes a good coach for those guys to take the next leap at the next level, you know? So
Yeah.
you're able to draft project because of that. You're able to draft project guys like Austin Booker, you know, Flus and Eric Washington can work with and help him get better. Because apparently, guys, Eric Washington is also pretty well known as like the defensive line whisperer. So
Yep.
I just expect big things out of Austin Booker. I'm sorry, Buck. Did you have something to say about that last thing?
Oh, I was just gonna kind of repeat myself, but I'm sorry. What's your name, buddy?
Darius.
Darius.
Uh-huh.
I've almost talked to you in the comment section of the thread before, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Darius was saying about what Flus had, you know, which was all negative stuff, stacking up in it in the conversation you just had. And I was just going to say, you know what else he had? Instructions. Look good, lose. Look good, but lose. That's what his instructions were. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
Jojo Loco says some interesting guys this year. Even with the rookie QB and a first-year offensive staff, Flus better have a good record after the weak ass first 10 games schedule, and that's what I was kind of saying. You got to kind of wonder at what point. Let's say it starts off ugly, and let's say it starts off ugly all around, not just on the offensive side of the ball. Because, like you said, Darius, that's going to take some time for sure. If you're Poles, you got to kind of know when to pull the trigger. Like, can you salvage a season in which you still think you're good enough to go to the playoffs? At what point is the train derailed and it's too late? So, and I don't know what it is, guys. I do have a strong feeling that Ryan Poles, he's been so different from everything we've ever seen in Chicago. He's in a really good way.
It's true.
Agreed.
I would not be shocked if he's the first general manager to terminate a coach during a season. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. So I'm not being a downer out there, Bears world. I do think the Bears come out of the gates hot because the schedule is kind of catered to them. I think they come out strong. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a good player. I think we can all agree on that. And I think they're making a run towards the end of the year before the schedule really hits the fan, because it does. It gets tough. The bottom half of this year gets really, really tough, and they're going to have to make sure that they carry as much momentum as they can from those early wins into those divisional games, because, I mean, they come rapid fire one after the next. And then we did talk, Darius, last week about them playing Detroit and San Fran back-to-back, I think both away games. So you're playing the two best teams in the NFC away. So you're going to hit a pretty bumpy part of the road there towards the end of the year.
I don't think we have a division game till week 11, do we?
No, it's the first one.
That's crazy, ain't it?
The Packers, I believe the Packers in Chicago.
That's never happened that I can remember.
No, and I don't. I don't remember ever playing. Basically, every team in the first half of their year had a losing record. I think besides maybe Jacksonville, who might have had a losing record as well. I'm not sure. I do want to give.
I think they were in the playoff hunt late.
Yeah,
in a bad division, I know, but
the last game of the season they lost to Houston. That's what took them out of or was it Indy?
No, it was Houston.
Houston.
Yeah. I want to give the people something to think about too.
Come on.
As great of a season as CJ Stroud had last year, the Texans only won 10 games.
Yeah.
I don't want to be, like you say, I don't want to be a downer, and I'm just excited as anyone. But this thing has a lot of parts to it. The success of the Bears have a lot of parts to it. It's not just one side of the ball. It's not just in the coaching rooms. It's not just on Eberflus. Like, this thing has to be bound together, and we can only, we're only as strong as the weakest link. You know what I mean? But as great as offensive season the CJ Stroud had, the Texans still only won 10 games. I think they were they benefited from not having a very great division, but that's just and the schedule looks easy for the first couple of games, because we're basing everything on last year. But we all know that the NFL changes, man.
They all change. They all change.
Yeah, and it's just like we are. It's these fan bases out here are looking for their team to come out because they improve in some way or the other. Just like we're excited about Caleb, you have some guys excited. I know they're very excited in DC.
Yeah, speaking of that Texans team, D'Amico Ryans is fourth on the list for possible coach of the year at plus 1,400. Looks like Jim Harbaugh on FanDuel is favored over Matt Eberflus. I know Matt Eberflus was favored on DraftKings. And then you have Raheem Morris of the Falcons. That's going to be the Kirk Cousins effect, I would imagine, a really weak division. So I have no doubt that the Falcons are probably going to win that division. And Shane Steichen is a guy we talked about last week, Darius, for the Indianapolis Colts is fifth at 1,400 as well. Guys, I do want to give a shout out. Squeegee said had a tornado touchdown 5 miles south a couple hours ago. Well, we're glad you're safe, Squeegee. Glad everybody's happy and healthy. I do want to give a shout out, guys, to our first sponsor. That is Bridges Scoreboard, your Northwest Indiana Chicago Chicago sports headquarters. Sorry, with the Hall of Fame menu and the coldest beer in Chicagoland. Yeah, guys, and like I said, I don't. When Poles had initially made the decision to stick with Flus, I was a little angry. I was, and then, I've had a lot of people convince me otherwise, that this guy really, especially with remember the coaching situation they had going on last year. why he didn't even have a defensive coordinator. There was some weird stuff going on there. You guys remember that last year?
Oh, absolutely.
The Bears are very good at keeping things in house. They wouldn't even announce to the public like what the hell happened there.
Exactly. For none of it.
We
Till
have two
this day.
coaches. Yeah, two coaches just excused in the middle of the season, and all I read was inappropriate behavior. I still don't know what the hell happened over
Yeah, I
there.
think one guy.
We still don't know why Roquan missed a couple games 3 years ago.
Yeah, I think
Never comes out.
he had some mental health issues.
That was all speculation.
Yeah, they never.
That was
the Bears-
part of the speculation. It never came out what actually it was about.
The Bears do a good job at not publicizing that stuff, and it's kind of stinks for us as fans because you're always wondering what the hell is going on. You know, I mean, you want to know. I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it. When I read inappropriate behavior, I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, I want to know.
Yeah, me too.
It makes your mind wonder, don't it?
Yeah, like what the hell is this guy doing? Like, was it like the Snyder situation in Washington? You know what I mean? Was this guy just inappropriate with like female staff, something like that? I'm sure.
And I heard things like the feds coming up to the spot up there and
yeah, there was like reports that Charles Tillman, because he's a federal agent now, like he had possibly got involved and he had gone to the Bears facilities or something like that. And then they said maybe I don't want to get too deep into this. I did hear some rumors about some stuff found on a computer. We're going to leave that off this, guys. This isn't a children's channel, but that's not content for anyone.
No.
I do want to ask you guys another question. Do you think that there's any other, and there's one big one that I'm thinking of, I'm sure one of you is going to throw out there, any other potential awards on this rewarded to this Bears team by the end of the 2024 season? There's one I'm thinking of in particular.
Most improved?
No, not for oh yeah, it's a player award.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that our quarterback wins Rookie of the Year. That would be ideal. I would imagine.
You know what?
I think that's the obvious.
I'll take that, but if he doesn't win it, let's give it to Rome.
Yeah, that'd be cool too. The Bears have two rookies that have the potential of doing it, but you have to think
Absolutely.
Rome odunze has a good enough season to do so. Doesn't that mean Caleb probably did even more? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would be tough, I think, for Rome to get it without Caleb getting it over him because that's the guy who's passing the ball.
Yeah,
I agree.
But yeah, I think Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year to Caleb Williams. You know, Eberflus obviously Head Coach of the Year. There could be a most improved. Like you'd have. What was her name? Taylor Dahl said on the show, the woman who works for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Chicago Bears. She's a podcaster. She said on the show, if Vegas Jones did anything positive, he's got a shot at most improved player. It's been that bad since that guy's been on the field, man. It really just gets ugly.
Well, I was thinking along the lines of Gervon Dexter.
Yeah, and if that happened, Darius, that's really what this team needs, man. You know what I mean? If that guy turned into the 3 technique that we've all been praying for, that I know Eberflus says anchors that defense,
that would be awesome.
Imagine how good that team can be. Honest to God, imagine how good that team could be if they actually start to apply some pressure up the middle. Because Ryan Poles says it all the time. That's the guy closest to the quarterback when the ball is hiked, right? So if you can get pressure there, you're putting the opposing offense on their heels.
Yeah, the quickest way to point A and B is a straight line.
Yeah, and he did show last year, man. I mean, it looked like when you added Sweat, just a little bit of talent around. I shouldn't say a little bit, a lot of talent next to Dexter. He really improved, man. And I think that kind of, he didn't get home a lot. So when you don't see the numbers, the sack numbers and the box score, people kind of overlook it. But he had a lot of pressures.
Yeah, it's a lot deeper than just sacks. I mean, the sack is the glaring stat.
Yeah, if you can just be disruptive, it makes a world of difference. Especially, guys, you remember when Flus took over this team, we had no talent on the defensive line, and we're watching, second-string quarterbacks just light this team on fire. I mean, those 2 years of just you couldn't get anywhere near a quarterback could have a lemonade and a pizza back there. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous, man. So it was good to see him take that step he did last year, and I agree with you, man. If there's a player on the Bears roster that has the potential to win Most Improved, it would probably be him.
Yeah. I mean, because Tyrese Stevenson, he came along, toward the end of the year, because even though he's still ranked, I think like 75, as far as corners. I can't remember the publication that gave him that ranking, but they ranked him like at 75, and they had ranked Jaylon number 1.
And they did actually. There was a report released by, I think it was Bears Wire. Maybe it wasn't even a Bears writer. Sorry, guys, I'll have to find his name. But we talked about it a little bit last week, Darius. There was a report for the 5 most improved tackles in football next season, and or breakout candidates, I should say. I think that's what it was titled. And Braxton Jones was on that list. Now, I'd imagine Braxton's on that list over Darnell Wright, because Darnell Wright is good, right? Kind of like, if that guy improves, he's just improving into the best tackle in football, probably, because
he's just reaching what his projection was.
Yeah, he was pretty damn good to begin with. But if Braxton Jones ends up being a lockdown left tackle, that would be worth an award to me, honestly, because that's $100 million position if you play it well. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed.
And then Cliff did throw in here, guys. I think it was Cliff. He mentioned Ian Wheeler, who is a guy who I think is going to be fighting. He actually got signed. He was Ian Wheeler. He was a undrafted free agent signing, a rookie, and he was a return specialist in college football.
Yeah.
Listed at running back, but I think he only had like 5 carries on the season or something, or 4. So it's a guy we're probably going to see a lot of.
I hope so.
In a month.
He's very interesting. I think he's going to really be able to earn his keep during the preseason. I think that's one of the guys that the preseason is going to benefit.
Yeah, but I think for him to make the roster, 1 or 2 guys is going to have to be cut.
Man, I can name 1 or 2 right now.
Versus Jones or Homer. Yeah, I think Homer's there for special teams. He's great on special teams. Not basically as a return man, more as like a gunner. But
he's good in coverage.
That's why he's still on the team, for his special team capabilities. This guy, I think, to make the roster, guy you're talking about, I think he's going to have to be better than one of those 2 guys. And to me, versus, I think he might be the guy that gets cut.
Yeah,
I mean, once these guys get on the grass, man, it's gonna be money time, and they all understand that.
I think his rating in his draft profile, his return rating was like
crazy.
And I could be misquoting this, but I think it was like a 96. I mean, it was like insanely good. And
he's gonna be a guy to watch, man.
Yeah. And that's, while we're on the subject, another coach who I think takes great strides on this Bears staff is Richard Hightower. They finally gave him some pieces. He's got Tory Taylor now. He's got a punter that can pin the ball. And I think Richard Hightower is a really good coach. And I'm sure that guy was licking his chops during the draft when they drafted a punter in the 4th round.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a pivotal piece. The special teams is probably going to be a big part of the Bears' success in this 2024 season too.
Yeah, I think with this adjustment on the kickoffs, man, it's going to be interesting. I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited for that.
It's going to be some struggles for these coaches, man. Some are going to have some luck with it, but some are going to really struggle with this, man.
Yeah, they're going to beat the hell out of that in the offseason.
I've looked over this concept, and how it's supposed to go.
Right.
I'm
real interested to see how this thing's gonna work on a NFL level.
Yeah, it looks like Cliff just said he thinks. I believe he's still talking about Ian Wheeler. I think he had 3 touchdowns, 1 touchdowns in college football. Well, that's got to make you excited, guys. Like you said, Darius, the kickoff is back. Hope to see some returns, guys. Like I will say this, man. It seems like he can't get his head wrapped around it, but there's something to tap into in Bayless Jones.
I agree.
When that guy's got the ball in his hands, he's elusive as hell, man. I mean, he's not a small guy either. He's
when he can keep the ball in his hands, you mean?
Yeah, good point.
God,
But
he irritates me.
he
I
runs a
agree
10.
with you. I agree with you, man. That's just he is uh
And at the end of the year, he came along too. He made a few plays.
Yeah, and he runs a tenth of his 40 is a tenth of a second slower than Tyreek Hill. So I mean, that's the kind of speed that guy has. Like guys
And
like
he's
those.
he's an
Honestly,
older guy
guys
too.
like those have a place in the NFL. The only thing they can't do is just exactly what that guy's done to find himself unemployed. You know what I mean?
I hope he
Oh,
bought him a jugs machine, man.
yeah, for real, man.
right.
I
That
hope
guy
he
just
bought
needs
him a
to be
jugs
catching
machine.
balls from day till night, man, till the sun goes down. Honestly,
Yeah.
and after that as well. Guys, I want to give another
But
shout
you
out.
know that's his position. You know he's been on them machines, just like everybody else, and he probably catches every one of them. You know, but then the
I,
lights come on, man, and that kid shits his pants.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, this is speculation, but it almost seems like the moment's too big for him, right? Like
Yeah.
the guy
Kind of
played football at a high level in college. He played for
sure.
Tennessee, good
He,
player.
pl- he
He's
played
just
for USC and Tennessee, man.
yeah,
Those are
two
teams that,
quality programs. Yeah, so
yeah.
you
That
just
fan base is incredible.
and he did enough for Poles, who's typically pretty good at finding young talent, to draft him in the third round. So you
And
gotta
left
think
some pretty decent receivers on the board.
there's something like it's just in his head. Like
Yeah.
it's like you said, Ed, it's the one thing that guy's focused on his whole damn career is catching the ball. And it's like that's the one thing he just can't seem to do, guys. I want to give a shout out to River Street Tavern, located 102 River Street in East Dundee, Chicagoland's most delicious and fun sports dining experience, guys. Really good specials if you're anywhere near Dundee. They have $2 burgers on Wednesday nights. Not going to find that at a fast food chain, and half price wings on Sunday. Kyle also tends bar there, our very own Kyle. So go check him out. He'll pour you a good drink. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys kind of want to say about the potential of Eberflus winning that award? Is there somebody that you guys favor more than Eberflus? I don't know that I love him.
No,
I guess we have to sit back and see, man. But as far as me having a favorite, John Harbaugh, man, not Jim, but John.
John's I think he's a top 3 coach in the NFL.
I think he's very deserving of this award, man.
Yeah, and it's almost unfair. It's like a guy like that who's always good at his job won't win that award because he's expected to be good.
because he's expected to be good, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh, your team always makes the play. Why should you win this award? It's like, well, that's
But
kind of why.
That's
even
exactly why.
even when his teams are not expected to do very well, they still come out and compete year after year.
Yeah, him and Mike Tomlin both, man.
And they lose players. They lose players in key positions, and they just keep, they keep things afloat, man.
Yeah,
that's too. Go ahead, Darius.
Oh no, I'm done.
I was going to say that's two of the best coaches, in my opinion, in the league, and they're in the same division.
Mm-hmm.
That entire division is coached well because didn't Stefanski win Coach of the Year?
Yeah, he did.
The
Did he?
Cleveland coach win Coach of the Year?
He did, and he went through some stuff, boy. I hope we don't go through. I hope we don't have to go through what he went through to win it. He went through.
Yeah, seriously, the most payroll on IR, right?
Yeah,
and then
he went through about 5 quarterbacks, man.
Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
throwing 300 yards a game, man.
Yeah, Flacco
and 3 of them were first overall picks.
No, and as good as DeMeco Ryans was for Houston, man, I can't disagree with the Kevin Stefanski thing. That guy coached his ass off. There's no doubt about it. He lost Nick Chubb. He lost Deshaun Watson. He lost a couple other players. I don't remember who, but a couple of big names on defense too. Those guys just kept rolling. I mean, and you know what? The Bears had them. The Bears had that team. They had them on their heels, man.
Sure did.
And I think that was the game where they I think that game again lost against Cleveland, and that was the game also that had solidified that we were going to be the first overall pick because Carolina lost that weekend.
Yeah.
I think that was the one where Poles was like, something's got to give, man. I'm blowing this up. You know what I mean? I'm moving Fields out of here. I'm going after that guy in the draft. Like that felt like the icing on the cake to me was that week. And they had a good football. They beat the Lions. Then they had a good football team like the Browns on their heels, man. So A 7-game win season, guys. I think Flus is definitely. Can we agree Flus is probably in the best position to win that award next year? I mean, he's got all the tools he needs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's in position to be successful. I
Yeah.
mean, but all I'm looking for, to be honest with you, I'm just looking for steady improvement. Like it doesn't have to be a 12 or 13 game improvement. If we come out the end of this year and win 10 games, and I think 10 games gives us a playoff spot. If we can win 10, 11 games, I'll be satisfied with that. Because progress is a process, man, most of the time. You have these outliers where teams finish 3-14 and end up the next year be 14-3. That's not that's not something I want to, look for because it's not sustainable.
Yeah, the,
Just
the
like
worst, the worst, the first thing.
yeah,
It
it's
seems to
not
happen in the NFL more than any other sport. Yeah.
yeah, it's not sustainable, man. Like I live in a region where, this division thrives off of that. The NFC South, they thrive off the worst the first model. Like sometimes these guys be looking to finish last because they feel like the following year they're gonna be first. And that's just not a culture I want to be a part of.
The Bears ended up finishing last, didn't they, in their division with 7 wins?
Yep.
Right?
Yep, they
Yeah.
did.
That's
Mhm.
crazy. I mean, that's a
Yep.
tough division, guys. So the NFC North and the AFC North was we just talked about with the Steelers, Bengals, Browns, Ravens. I mean, those are the two best divisions in football, in my opinion, coming in this 2024 season.
I agree.
Really tough divisions to win, guys.
Mhm.
As much as I see playoff hopes very much alive for the Bears, I don't see winning that division on the table. I really don't. That Lions team improved over the offseason. The Packers team improved over the offseason. It's going to be
I,
really tough for the Bears.
I
The
think it's
Bears
gonna
got
be a dog fight, man. I truly do. I truly think it's gonna be a dog fight. I think it's gonna be one of them situations that 10, 10, 11 wins win the division.
yeah,
It's
and
gonna
you're going to have to win. The Bears are going to have to win probably 3 games in their division.
and
I
I
don't.
think that's very possible.
Yeah, they don't need to split. I don't think they don't need to split because everybody's like, yeah, they have to win one against each team. I don't necessarily think if they can beat the Vikings twice and the Packers once or however it has to play out. I think they're gonna have to win 3 games out of that division, especially since, like we said earlier, it all comes after week 11 and it just kind of pours on top of you, right? So like you got to be playing your best football when you run into that stretch of your record.
Well,
Go ahead, bud.
you better be playing your best football that time of the year if you want to take if you want to make a shot for the playoffs.
Yeah, and history has kind of shown the NFL, right? The team that is winning going into the playoffs, like it's like those teams that play in the wild card weekend, like the Giants teams that beat the Patriots. Those teams, they were wild card teams, but they turned it on within the last 4 weeks of the year, and then really just never missed after
They
that.
was on a roll.
You just
Yeah,
want to get in, man. You just
yeah, and
want
that's
to get
why.
in.
And we've also seen history shown that these guys that sit their starters the last week of the year don't usually. I don't think I would have to do some homework on it, but I imagine those teams don't win very often in the playoffs or go to the Super Bowl. These teams that have started to sit their starters for the last week, and it hasn't really shown to work out. And yeah, of course, you're thinking about injury. You want to prevent injury to important people on your team, but you also don't want to derail a train that's burning down the tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would hope we're playing the Packers the last week of the season. I hope all of the starters are playing for both teams in that game. Guys,
I do too. I'm with you. I'm opposed to sitting people. Never been big on it.
it isn't proven successful, right? Like it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. In my opinion, it's never really worked for anyone. I don't know. I'm sure somebody in the chat could throw it at me. Maybe there's a team that won a Super Bowl that rested all their guys the last week of the year, but I can't think of one. I do want to give a shout out, guys, to Elite Icons Framing and Sports Memorabilia, guys. It's jersey framing and photo framing. They also do athlete autograph opportunities. I think they're going to be helping tracks out, with the Keenan Allen signing, guys. So be there for that. That is October 1st, 7 p.m. And it is trying to remember where. I'll get it before the show, guys. And you told me, Yorktown. Sorry, it's Yorktown Center in Lombard, Illinois. So be there for that, guys. Bring some friends. Show Keenan Allen some love. You know, the guy's new to Chicago. Let's go out there and
Yeah,
show him.
that's exciting, ain't it?
Let's go show them how crazy Chicago Bears fans are and how much we love our sports, guys, because I'm sure it's a little more intense here than it was in LA, especially since you got a lot of teams over there in California. I do also, guys, want to talk a little bit about, hold on one sec. Let me pull up these numbers real quick. I want to talk a little bit about the over-under on the. I know we beat this up last week, Darius, but they have projected 10 wins by DraftKings, who I don't know when they started doing schedule predictions.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it's just odds, favorites, odds, future odds. But I do want to talk a little bit about that 8.5 over-under because we did just say, you know, it would potentially take 10 to 11 wins for the Bears to make the playoffs. The over-under is 8.5 on the Bears this season. Do you think if they're a 9-win team, make the playoffs or not? Do you think that Matt Eberflus's job is still as secure as it is today?
I think so.
I think with
again,
9,
it all depends on who's available.
that
Because you don't want to, you get rid of him to bring someone else in. They may have a difference in scheme on defense and stuff like that. I just think any form of improvement, I think Eberflus keeps his job.
Yeah. I mean, if they won like 8 games, I think I'll be pretty upset. You know, this is a 7-win team last year.
and should have been 10.
I think, I don't know. I can't say that if they don't make the playoffs that Eberflus is getting fired, but I would imagine Poles won't be too pleased. I think Poles really believes that he's given him all in terms of coaches and players, he's given Flus all the tools he needs to be successful. And there's no more excuses. Like I said, guys, this guy's head coaching record is 10-28.
Yeah.
I mean, he's favored to be head coach of the year after going 10-28. Just try right there. It's pretty wild.
Right, because they see the potential of this team that's been put together in the off season to be a playoff team, that going from that type of record in the last 3 years to being a playoff team would put you in the conversation for coach of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Players
and I think
have to play, most definitely. Players have to play.
And I think that what's good about these like the over-unders on their games being favored in 10 games, even a lot of away games this year by DraftKings, and Flus being favored as coach of the year, I think the general consensus by sports analysis fans, betting sites, is that this Bears team should succeed. There's no reason not to. There is no excuse. There is no Luke Getsy. There is no Justin Fields. There is no can't get that, don't have that, offensive line, yada, yada, yada. They have the pieces they need to win football games, and they're playing some really bad teams. And I do want to go over this as well, guys. We touched on it a little bit last week, but this is important to me. The Bears are playing, I believe, 5 new head coaching staffs and 7 of the 8 quarterbacks drafted in the first round over the last 2 seasons. So I want to go over a couple of those matches. So they're going to play the Titans first. Well, we know Will Levis was drafted in the first round last year, and they did just fire Mike Vrabel and replaced him with God, what's the guy's name? Oh, it'll come to me. I can't remember the coach. The name of the coach that the Titans just had to replace him. He's an offensive guy. So we obviously all agree that the Bears should potentially beat the Titans, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. You two have both made comments that that's kind of a already a gimme thing. The Titans, they bolstered their roster pretty good too over the offseason. We can't overlook them. I agree we should beat them. We should beat almost everybody on our schedule.
Yeah.
But the Titans are that's no gimme game.
But I think
Where do you
I
see the
think
Titans?
I think when Mike Vrabel left, I think he took some of the tenacity with him. He took some of the fight with him when he left, and also Derrick Henry's gone.
Yeah, that's big.
I think the Titans finished last in that division as well. I don't think they have a very good year. I see maybe 5 wins for that Tennessee team.
Yeah, I mean,
And they're not in a good division.
Will Levis really have to show himself for those guys to get over 5 or 6 wins. And as far as the Colts are concerned, I think that's the next game.
Yeah, and this is what I kind of want to do. So what I want to ask is, I'm going to give you guys the name of the quarterback that was, like I said, they also played teams with 5 new head coaches. I'm going to give you guys the name of the quarterback that was drafted over the last 2 years. And you tell me if you think Caleb Williams can outplay that individual. So I'll start with you, Buck. Do you think that Caleb Williams will outplay in his first game of his career as a professional NFL quarterback? Do you think he'll outplay Will Levis?
I do.
Okay, Darius, I'm pretty sure me and you agree that he will. What about Anthony Richardson in week 2?
That's a tough.
Who didn't get to play that much football last year? I believe he started.
Anthony Richardson is a bad dude.
Yeah,
I'm not very high on him.
You're not? I think he was the best quarterback in last year's draft.
No way.
I think he was better than C.J. Stroud if he didn't get hurt.
No way.
Yeah, Richardson.
No way.
Indy stole him.
Listen, man. I'm in SEC country here, man. And I watch a lot of Florida football. He wasn't even the best quarterback in the SEC, bro.
Well, let's see how the next couple of years play out. I think Richardson's a bad dude.
Do you think he outplays Caleb Williams?
No.
That's my man. All right. I personally don't think Caleb's going to play against J.J. McCarthy. I think that the Vikings stick with Darnell throughout the entire season. So the next
Darnell
name
has a tendency to get hurt.
Yeah, he does. He's been injured a lot.
It's a chance.
So let's say Caleb does end up playing J.J. McCarthy. Is that a player you think Caleb outplays?
Nope. I mean, Caleb will outplay him. He won't outplay Caleb.
All right, here's the big one. What about C.J. Stroud?
I'm gonna say a wash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say a wash. I'm gonna say a wash. I mean, I think offensively, they're kind of on the even. I think the teams are on the even playing field on paper, if you ask me.
The team,
as far as offensive weaponry, the defensive guys over there, I mean, and the scheme, I think, I'm gonna consider it a wash. I think, now if you want to give the edge to the coaching staff and have vetted, but with the Texans, you want to give the edge to the Texas coaching staff, and I respect it. But I think as far as the team is concerned on paper in 2024, I'll consider it a wash. I mean, because CJ's gonna have to deal with us just like Caleb's gonna have to deal with their defense.
I'm going to say CJ outplays Caleb, but this is why. Not because of the talent in the players. Obviously, CJ's experience is going to make a big difference because he did play a whole year. But that is Caleb Williams' first away game as an NFL quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And those typically don't play out in favor of the rookie. I mean, who knows? Maybe he comes out and lights it up. But his first game away against a good football team from last year that's getting better, probably still got a lot of momentum from last year. I know we all said we had the Bears losing that game, but I also do think Caleb Williams struggles a little bit against that Texans team in Houston. So I'm
going with the Bears.
The next quarterback would be Jaden Daniels on the Washington Commanders, guys. That's a guy that concerns me. That's a guy. I mean, I was a big fan. I was at LSU. I had him winning the Heisman a couple months before he did. I really.
Jaden's good.
If the Bears had done anything crazy like trade that pick and not go with Caleb Williams, which I was praying they didn't do, but if Ryan Poles had done it, you would have had to still draft Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah, man.
That would have been the next guy, right? I was not a Drake May guy, not a big fan.
I mean, I was a Michael Penix guy, but considering
I like Michael.
Considering the age and the injury history,
yep.
I don't think we could afford to take him that early. But I definitely felt like Michael Penix was the second best quarterback in the draft.
You liked him more than Jaden?
Yeah, I did. I mean, for the simple fact that two things. Jaden he relies on his feet a whole lot. And Penix, because of his injuries, he's learned to kind of like maneuver in the
Yeah,
pocket
that guy's done running.
and
Yeah.
kind of move around to get rid of the football instead of, just catching out and, running for about 15, 20 yards.
Jay Grizz says I liked Jordan Travis. This is a player that I liked a lot as well, guys. Out of Florida State.
Like Florida State is the team I root for, the college team
Okay.
I root for.
Yeah,
I
a lot
watched
of
I
talent on
watched
that table.
I watched Jordan Travis from the very beginning. He definitely improved from his freshman season. It's a lot to like there, but as far as you know, him being able to process, it wasn't really there
I
for
love
me.
I love his situation, man. I
Yeah,
didn't think he was a day one starter in the NFL, and I don't think anyone did. He wasn't, even if he wasn't injured, I don't think he would have been drafted to be a day one starter. But I mean, he's going to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for who knows how long, the next couple of years at least. So we'll see what happens there, man. If he sticks, if they like him, he sticks around. They give him that job once Rodgers has moved on. If he's had time to learn over there, I could see him.
he's very coachable, man. He's a very
Yeah,
coachable guy, man.
So let me
yeah.
back up. Let me back up, fellas, just a little bit here because I got a feeling that neither one of you agree with Jim Harbaugh. And
No,
you didn't think JJ should have been picked number one overall?
Oh
heck
no,
no.
I'm
Oh,
not.
me neither.
I'm not a McCarthy fan.
You,
My
you
biggest
know what Harbaugh was doing, right? He's trying to get a run on quarterbacks in them top three picks so he could get his Joe Alt.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you know what? The thing about McCarthy too, man, especially, and you brought up the thing I'd love to talk about the most is the praise that he got from his own coach after we watched his coach take the ball out of his hands at any big moment in his collegiate career.
there you go.
I know he was young, but anytime they were playing a team, a potential playoff team, an undefeated team, anytime Michigan ran into a big dog, he would run the damn ball. I mean,
Hmm.
against Penn State, he threw 8 passes,
There you go.
JJ McCarthy. And it's got to make you wonder a guy like Harbaugh, who had so much confidence in Kaepernick when he was
Hmm.
coaching on the Niners, why did he not let this guy throw the ball when it mattered most? It seemed like I mean, I can't remember how many times Blake Corum carried the ball last year, but it was an outrageous number. I
And
mean,
that other cat too. See, that's the thing that they were blessed with. They
Hmm.
had a backfield full of badass running backs. I mean, they could probably
Hmm.
run every down and still win.
and
Yeah.
they had a really, really good defense. They had a solid defense.
Yeah. Oh, real good.
But
Like you can cheer for a guy and you can try to make a case for a guy, but what really makes the case for him is when you put him out there on the grass and he performs. You can tell me all you want that you believe JJ McCarthy is the best quarterback in the draft, but when you coaching this guy and you putting him in a big game such as a game against Penn State, and you only allow him to throw the football 8 times, you
yeah,
know.
it's not even like, hey, let's put the ball in his hands. It's not like he had the opportunity and made the mistakes. It was like we don't even trust him enough to try. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
we don't even want to put him in a situation where he may make that mistake.
I
You
was
know,
happy to see the Vikings draft him because I do think that's going to be they got a long road ahead with him, man. A lot of people talk about McCarthy's potential, so maybe that's a possibility. The guy sits for a year and ends up being a good quarterback one day, but he's certainly not going to be this upcoming season. If God forbid Sam Darnold does get injured, I don't like McCarthy too much being an immediate player in the NFL. He's got the size of a NFL quarterback, but a guy that Jim Harbaugh can't trust, man, that makes me. And like Cliff is saying here too, guys, Harbaugh didn't go and trade Herbert. He had a high pick. He had all the opportunity in the world to take McCarthy. If he really
Yep.
believed McCarthy was that dude,
absolutely.
Yep.
hell, wouldn't you draft him?
He
Yeah.
was there when he picked, right?
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Yeah.
I'll never consider myself a guru on quarterbacking because I could not foresee Brock Purdy doing what he's doing now.
No, and that's
Nobody could.
So
That's different.
I have my opinions, but nothing I'm saying is considered law
and you know
because
what? I was wrong about Purdy, man. I thought Purdy was a product of Shanahan and his system, but he's a good player. He's a good
yeah.
football player.
Yeah,
He's not
I
through
agree.
the top, for sure. And kudos to the Niners for seeing something in that kid and knowing they could wait so long to draft him. And now they have a guy who's been to a Super Bowl already. So
Right?
Hey, you guys remember when they used to when they tried to sell us on Peterman?
yeah,
You
Nathan,
remember that? You remember that? And I'm like, come on, man. There's no way.
that guy is terrible, man. His
Man, I
face,
mean, and coming out, they were really trying to sell his stock like he was gonna be something. And I'm like I said, SEC and ACC games. I watch religiously. Partially, part of it reason is because of the region I'm in, and the other part is because, like I said, Florida State is the team that I watch. That's the team I root for, the college team I root for. And I watched Nathan Peterman. It was nothing he did, that stuck out that made me believe that he was a first round pick at quarterback.
what do you think of that Florida State jersey, that new jersey that just came out?
I love it. I mean, we always have, when it comes down to the threads, man, we always have,
Yeah,
some
it's
nice,
fresh, man. It sure looks
yeah,
great.
we always have some nice things,
Well,
Haven't seen it.
I don't think we're gonna see Drake May, guys, so I don't want to dive too much in. I do think the Patriots knew they were drafting Drake May, and I think they signed Jacoby Brissett to kind of let Drake May. I don't know. I don't know if that's a guy you're going to learn from, but to give Drake May time to learn the NFL before he actually has to step in and play a game.
I've always liked Brissett.
Yeah, but that's not bad.
I've
I thought
always liked
before
him.
May was.
He's a
I thought,
professional, man.
yeah, I thought May was going to be drafted to a situation where he was going to be a day one starter, but I really, really don't feel that anymore. I think they're happy with kind of the bridge quarterback system thing they got going on over there.
Yeah.
You mentioned Michael Penix. We won't see him. We won't see Bo Nix. Those are the two guys, first rounders. We're not going to play. I think
Bo
we
Nix
kind
is a
of.
guy I'm not very high on either.
You know
Maybe
what?
Sean Payton. Maybe
He's
Sean Payton can help him out.
yeah. He's interesting to me because I didn't love him, but he went to a system where, and he's the oldest. He's played
Right.
the most football out of all the guys. I think he's a little bit older than Michael Penix. He's
Is he really? I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's
He
24.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was in like 6 years or something, right? Because of COVID and all that.
I
Yeah,
honestly don't think he's better than his dad. I watched him when I watched Bo when he first came to Auburn, and he led. Yup. It was real bad. It was real bad, man. And and that never left me. Like going to Oregon because of that play style, you're gonna have a lot of success if you can just get the ball to the athletes that they have out there and let them athletes do their thing in space. Because I think the guy that left Oklahoma, Dylan Gabriel, who's going there to Oregon now, he's
yeah,
gonna
he's going to
he's
tear
gonna
it
have.
up.
I think they're gonna win the national title.
Yeah, he had a game last year with 8 touchdowns.
Hmm. He's
Which
very good, man. I think Oregon. I think Oregon is a front runner for the national title, man. If you ask me.
yeah, 2 transfers that I liked a lot was Gabriel going to Oregon and Will Howard going from Kansas State to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a kid's like 6'6" or something, man. So
Yeah, and
impressive.
he's a freight train, man. He moves.
Yeah, and Kyle McCord, the quarterback of Ohio State last year, I thought was the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. caught as many passes as he did from that guy is it's pretty. It's got to make you wonder what he's going to do in the NFL, man. I do want to dive in, guys, to which is 2 weeks away now, August 1st, the first game of the NFL season.
Mm-hmm.
It is the Bears against the Houston Texans at the Hall of Fame game, which our man Brandon Trax will be at. So probably going to get the opportunity to meet some of these Bears players like Caleb Williams. But how much stock do you guys put in this game?
Well, for as a fan of the Bears, it's gonna be an exciting time because we got guys that's going in, and you know, it's a time for the guys that's there, that's the young guys. They're gonna get a lot of time. It's gonna be a lot of young guys that's gonna really be able to show themselves, in this game in particular. Because I don't think the starters touch the field for this one. I don't think so.
The scroll says, sorry guys, the scroll says Penix is 47.
No, he's not. Hey, getting back to that, Brandon, what week do we play Atlanta?
We don't play Atlanta.
Play
No,
Atlanta.
We don't play Atlanta.
I said Penix and Knicks are the two guys the Caleb Williams won't play.
Won't play no matter what.
Actually,
Even if Cousins' old ass goes down.
Yeah, I've been to the Hall of Fame, and if you guys never been, man, I think if you can, you should take a trip, man.
I would love to get out to Canton.
It's a real cool experience, man. It's a real cool experience.
A buddy of mine did it last year. Yeah, it looks fun.
Yeah, I've been like
on the old bucket list.
But last time I was there, they were doing some adjustments to the stadium, and the stadium doesn't look nearly as big as it does on TV, man.
Yeah, that's I didn't even know. So I'm an idiot. I didn't even think about the fact that Canton has their own stadium because that's obviously where that game is played every year. No, it's definitely something I'd like to do, man. It's probably something I'd have to beg and plead the wife for, but definitely something I'd like to do. And it's cool, guys. We're gonna see. I don't want to say three players that played for the Bears being inducted in the Hall of Fame. Steve McMichael, obviously, Mongo, as Brandon would refer to him. Most people refer to him. Devin Hester.
Yes,
That's
sir.
exciting, guys. Special teamer going in the Hall of Fame from the Bears. That's awesome. And then Julius Peppers, who played a couple of good seasons in Chicago, but he is probably considered like a Panther, I think.
Yeah.
We're still gonna call him a Bear.
He's a Carolina kid.
Even he went to the Packers.
He's a Carolina kid, so he's going in as a Panther no matter what. Yeah,
for sure. And he did play a good majority of his career in Carolina. But every year he played, he was a wrecking force, man. That guy was a good player until the day he hung it up. I love Julius Peppers. I love watching Julius. I mean, the three guys, McMichael, Peppers, and Hester, undoubtedly deserving of Hall of Fame inductions. All three of those guys, man. If you go watch, 85 Bears highlights, McMichael was a monster.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're never going to see anything like Devin Hester again, right?
No.
Especially with the way the kickoff is now. Even if it's back, these new rules making it as safe as they can, you're not going to get to see a guy like that again. I don't think anyone's going to break that record. It's going to be one of those records I think's left out there to be unbeaten. So yeah, definitely excited to see it, man. Excited to see, the gold jackets and all that stuff for guys who very much earned it. And excited for Trax, man. It's going to be awesome. Trax is going to go there and kind of, it's unfortunate what McMichael's going through and the fact that he's not going to be able to be there for that. So they didn't already. When is the induction?
I think is it the day before the game?
Is it?
I believe.
I think there's a whole week of stuff goes on there, right?
Yeah, it's a whole weekend.
The game's a Thursday.
Okay, so
it'll take place Saturday. It takes place Saturday, August 3rd.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be fun to watch. Obviously, guys, if you two obviously are, but Bears fans out there, if you love the Bears as much as we do, turn that on. Show those guys support. Show them some love. Devin Hester getting that jacket. It's gonna be fun to watch. For the 2 years 2 years he was snubbed, I was just so upset, man. I was like, I don't give a damn what position this guy played. I don't care, man.
His impact on the game was felt. Like, you had coaches, keeping the ball away from him. He was just as big as a weapon as anybody on offense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're the best at anything, I mean, that's all I need. I mean, the guy was. There's, like I said, we're not going to see anything like it. And you remember those old Jeff Joniak highlights, like Devin Hester, you are ridiculous. Those words in my head, you know what I mean? And it's like, even through some bad Bears years, I mean, he was on a team that went to Super Bowl and lost, returned one in the Super Bowl. But even when the Bears started to fizzle out after that, man, he was still, the highlight. And like
Yeah.
a lot of people, I forget who it was. It was a Bears player, maybe Forte or Tillman. One of those guys said, when you watch a football game, special teams comes on. That's like your bathroom break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a chance when you were watching those Bears games, even opposing fans, man. Even
Right.
the teams who were playing, their fans were like, nah, we got to watch this. I'm not
And
missing it.
the funny part about it, if Tony Dungy would have continued to kick to him in the Super Bowl, we'd had a title.
Yeah. I love all those people, man. I loved all those. Every coach before with the teams played Devin Hester got on their high horse like, we're not afraid of him. We're gonna kick the damn ball to him. That's what we're gonna do. Like with the
No, I seen an interview with Tony, a couple different ones after that. Even one was years after that, and he says, "I told him not to kick that ball ahead."
Yeah, it was dumb. I mean, the guy was electrifying, man.
Yeah.
Anytime
And
he had the ball,
that particular season, Indianapolis was terrible as far as special teams concerned. Special team kickoff coverage, they were terrible.
yeah, they had that one dude that ended up catching him in the end zone. It was like Giordano or something. A really strange Italian name or something, man. But that kid was lightning. That kid was fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he caught Hester, but at the very end of a 100-yard run. So, yeah, man. I mean, unfortunately, we lost that game, but we all got to watch that. That's something we'll never forget. And that's probably one of the greatest moments to me, in NFL history. I would.
Yeah, opening kickoff.
It has to be up there because prior to that, it had never been done before.
Yeah, and you have 2 weeks. You know what I mean? The Colts had 2 weeks to figure that out because you get that week off before the Super Bowl. They had 2 weeks to how the hell do we not let this guy in the end zone, man? And Devin went out there and did his thing anyways, man. It's cool. Guys, either you got anything that you want to kind of relay or get out there, anything in regards to Chicago sports or anything in life, really?
Prayers to you guys, man, up there in the Windy City going through that tornado situation. I
appreciate that, Darius.
Shout out to, Tracks as usual, for making this all happen for us. And shout out to you guys, man. Great show.
Oh, same to you, Darius. Always fun to do a show with you. And good to have you on, Buck.
Going back to that defensive coordinator getting cut early last season and the hush-hush about it, and, of course, the rumors. And so I'll tell you a rumor I heard that him and Trax got caught up in the training room.
Oh, no.
But it's strictly a rumor. No, you guys want to know what I'm excited about?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I'm excited about our roster.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what else?
It's the best one we've had in a while, man.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the offensive side of it, which is I can't remember when I could say that. I'm excited about the defensive side of it. We're kind of used to that, right? I'm excited about the special teams, the whole top to bottom roster. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I kind of when I think about this offense, I kind of, like you just said, we've never really had this on offense. So it kind of reminds me of like that 06 defense, man. They were just, they were just unstoppable. Those guys they were the best in the league, hands down. And I just feel like this offense is going to be, you better have one hell of a set of corners on your team, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're going to do to slow these guys down.
I'm talking 1-5, man. Safety.
And these are not just guys who create separation. These are guys who, once they've caught the ball, they're even more lethal. You know what I mean? DJ Moore and Keenan Allen after the catch are scary. And you just throw a guy like Roman there, and he's going to be, think about this, guys. He's going to be the guy who's playing against second, third corners.
Yep. Yeah.
It's going to, I have a feeling it's going to seem unfair at some point in this season, guys.
Oh, absolutely.
And
so you know what else I'm excited about?
What's that?
Every coaching change we made. I don't particularly know all these guys, but what I read about any and all the guys we put on, I'm excited about seeing how the coaching staff works this year.
Thomas Brown, Kerry Joseph. They have a passing game coordinator in Brown, who's I love, and players loved. And I thought he did when he took over as coach after they fired Frank Reich in Carolina. I thought he got a little bit more out of Bryce Young when Brown took over that team. And like Flus in his first year here, the roster was terrible. So I mean, it's not like the guy was going to come in and start winning football games, but at least there was a few games where CJ Stroud looked like he could play at an NFL level. You know what I mean? He had that game with, I think, like 3 touchdowns and a couple hundred yards. So I'm excited to see Brown involved with Caleb Williams, man. I'm excited for Joseph. He's a good quarterback coach. We all know that. And, Waldron is, from what I hear, from a potential head coach. So, yeah, you're right, man. The staff they put around Flus is great, man. They've got a great staff, especially on that offensive side of the ball. They got a great staff. And let's be honest, guys, for the last 2 years, that was probably the thing that pissed us off the most, right?
Absolutely.
The fact that Luke Getsy was still out there calling plays. I mean, we broke a record for the most passes behind the line of scrimmage. I never want to live those nightmares again, man. So
I mean, I wasn't as hard on Getsy as a lot of people. I think Getsy played to the talent he had at quarterback.
Yeah, and I think he lost trust, right?
Yeah,
you're gonna kind of feel that way. Like he started to think, and there's more that you don't see. I mean, there's so much more we don't see. I'm sure Luke Getsy had determined at some point that Justin Fields just can't do that stuff, man. You know what I mean? My problem with what Getsy did, though, is he didn't really respond to it the way that most coaches would have. Like, Fields can't do this. He can't do this pocket thing. He can't. We're going to have to just try to utilize the strengths he's got.
Well, I think that was a situation where if he did come out and say that was going to be a battle he couldn't win.
No, and it would have cost him his job anyways.
Yeah.
And I don't like to think of Luke Getsy as a scapegoat. I think the whole thing didn't work. And you know what? Ryan Poles took over something, like we've said before, he took over something that just didn't make sense. It was like a bunch of different puzzle pieces from a bunch of different puzzles that just didn't fucking go together, man. So it was like,
I honestly feel like it did what it was supposed to do. It won 7 games, which was a 4-game improvement from the year before. It showed like a 4-game improvement. It's a big deal. Just imagine a 4-game improvement from 7. That makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, and what Antmoss is saying here is why I feel so good about this, guys. I feel like the 3 wide receivers, tight ends, running backs will let Caleb work. That will take pressure off the O-line. They will play better as well. So, yeah, well, that's kind of what I was saying. Like, the puzzle pieces all fit now, right? Like,
they damn sure should.
Everybody's going to kind of compliment everybody else. You purposely went. I mean, let's be honest. I'm not Ryan Poles, but we all know the secret behind this, right? You went and got yourself a running back that can catch the ball, right? You guys had 40+ receptions every year. What does that benefit? A young quarterback. You went and got yourself 2 big-bodied tight ends. Gerald Everett and Mercedes Lewis are guys that can take defensive ends on, man. I mean, these are big guys who are going to block the hell out of really quality players. So that's going to help what? Another thing's going to help a young quarterback. And then you got 3 guys who get pressure, who get separation quickly. Great press release. I mean, that's the one thing you read about odunze is these big corners try to hit him on the line, and he just runs them over. I mean, odunze is behind you within a few seconds. So you got 3 wide receivers that can all play inside and out because they can all create separation quick and early. These guys get off their corners. And then they're all guys who can do stuff with the ball.
Yeah.
Williams could potentially throw 5-yard passes that end up being 50-yard touchdowns just because of the guys they've got on this team, man.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
These guys are all.
Waldron has a pretty good screen game, man.
Yeah, and then that's another thing, man. We brought in a guy like I said, like Thomas or Brown, who worked with Bryce Young, and I saw improvement for sure. So that's good for Caleb Williams. But then you bring in Waldron, a guy who revitalized the career of a quarterback we all thought was dead and buried, right?
Right.
I forgot the name Geno Smith before Russell Wilson's
injury.
And he came in, and so that's another piece that can help Caleb Williams get this thing on track, man. And you know what? Caleb Williams to me is a good quarterback. He was going to be a good quarterback no matter where he played, even a bad system. But that's the beauty of it. is it's not a bad system. He's in a good place with good tools and the potential to be successful. And that's the thing that they didn't do with Justin Fields. That's the thing the Chicago Bears have never done for any quarterback. They never gave a quarterback a plan, a system, and the players to succeed. And they've done all three. And that's why I said, guys, Ryan Poles is just different. It's just different. It feels different. This guy he doesn't let George reach into his pockets. It's like, man, you hire me. Like I said, when you hire a staff for any business, it's because you trust them to do their job. Their responsibility is on them. And I think Ryan Poles has kind of said to George, like, I'm going to do this my way, man. Just sit back and watch and trust me. So
now, as far as executive of the year, I think Ryan Poles should win that.
Oh, I don't see how he doesn't, man. That's a good point, Darius. I don't know what the betting odds are on that, but that seems more likely to me than Flus winning Coach of the Year, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, it didn't stop, right? You traded for Keenan Allen, and we were all like, and Gerald Everett, you signed DeAndre Swift. We all had jaws to the floor, and then you draft Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze just on top of it. It was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like
on
this.
top of the fact that you recognize the players that didn't fit here, and
you recognize your weaknesses.
Yeah, and you got rid of them.
Yeah, because I forget who it was. Somebody in the comments earlier said, a guy like Kevin Byard can take a lot of pressure off a guy like Brisker, who's still young and developing as well. And Byard, I think, is one of those players just needed a new setting. You know what I mean? A new home. I don't think that, he didn't have the best of seasons last year, but I think he's a quality player. Yeah, Antmas it was. I like Byard taking the pressure off of Brisker. I agree. Byard is that's a big deal, man, because they were weak there. They were weak there. Eddie Jackson, to me, didn't just look like a bad football player. It looked like he lacked effort. I mean, it looked like he quit.
Byard's definitely an upgrade. He's definitely an upgrade.
And I think Byard has a big season, man. I don't think he's just a piece that fits in with a bunch of talent around him, because everybody keeps saying, like, well, he's got all the guys around him. Like, I think he's going to be a difference maker on this defense.
I believe you're right.
He's a quality player, and he's behind a great set of linebackers too. So, and safety's important, man. You can't have, like you said, you're only as strong as your weakest link. You can't have a hole in your secondary, man.
Nah.
Even if you have three quality players, if one of those guys is as bad as Eddie Jackson was last year, and we watched that, man. I mean, go back to grade school and learn how to what the hell happened to that dude?
I think a lot of Eddie's issues is that he had early success playing safe. Because of the defense. He had early success with playing safe, and when our defense kind of declined, it couldn't hide his deficiencies anymore. And then once he had to stick his nose in there, he started getting hurt. And when he had to become more physical, it was wearing it weared on him, and he ended up on the injury list. A lot of times. Like I said, having good players around can hide deficiencies of some players, but you still have to focus on the fundamentals.
I think you made the best point of the night, Darius, in saying that it feels good to have a GM who can identify weakness, right? Like he knew the center was bad. He knew the free safety was bad. He knew we need to upgrade, and then on top of that, getting the players that he needed to improve weakness. Yeah. He also thought, where can I get better where we're already okay? You know what I mean? Like DeAndre Swift. It was like the Bears weren't hurting for a running back. They had quality players, right? I like Roschon Johnson. He looks like he's going to improve. I like, Khalil Herbert's done what he's been asked to. But Ryan Poles didn't stop there. Like, what the hell? Let's get this guy who's had 1,000 yards rushing and 40 plus receptions. And then he traded for Keenan Allen, and now had Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. He could have been content with wide receiver, right? Could have done anything with that 9th pick. There were so many players on the board, but he thought, why the hell stop there? And that was just scary, man.
Yeah, that's a key trait. That's a key trait, in having a successful team, man. You have to recognize those weaknesses and get them out of there. That's what's there. Like, when they talk about teams missing out on Patrick Mahomes, we're the only team that's named.
Yep.
And San Francisco was there too. You know, San Francisco missed out on Patrick Mahomes as well. They end up missing out on another great QB by drafting Trey Lance.
Yeah.
You know, they made a lot of blunders, you know, but, you know, they recognized it quick and got those guys out of there. And, you know, they weren't shy about replacing, you know, though they weren't shy about, you know what I'm saying, recovering from the mistakes they made.
Yeah, no, it's the stubbornness that makes you a bad front office,
Yeah.
man. Like, when you can admit a mistake and fix it, that's all it takes to be successful. Because look at this Bulls team, man.
Yeah.
Like, how many damn years were they going to keep trying this? Finally, something clicked, man. But I mean, how many years were we all sitting there watching the ball? Like, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
It clearly doesn't work. Even with Lonzo Ball, it was never going to be good enough. All right. So, like with Vooch and DeRozan and Levine, and Billy Donovan's extension, they keep paying these guys, and it didn't work. It didn't win. And it was
injuries didn't help. The injuries didn't help at all either.
No, because then you lose Patrick Williams, your highest drafted player. But it was just stubbornness, man. Like, yeah, we messed up. We don't want to admit it because we don't want to admit that we sucked at our jobs. But it's like, dude, scrap it, start over. You know.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. I think that's about it. Darius, I do appreciate you saying that about the weather. We hope that everybody is safe and sound out there, guys. It seems like the storm is kind of past, but it's always heading somewhere else. So.
Yeah, it's over here.
Sorry, Buck.
Be safe, man.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for joining us, man. Yeah, be safe. Darius, as always, it's been a pleasure, man. We'll see you next Monday for sure, guys.
Hey,
we do have
guys,
Thanks,
Wednesday.
See you next week. Bear down, baby.
Hell yeah. We got guys, for all the fans out there, the guys in the chat, we got shows Wednesday, Thursday, and then we're back on Monday, I believe, after that. And guys, please, if you want us to keep bringing this content, you guys are the reason we do this. So please hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Check us out, Chicago Sports Podcast. Like I said, we're going to be doing the Keenan Allen thing. I think that was October 1st. And then Trax is going to be at the Hall of Fame game, and I heard there's some big things in the works there too. So stay tuned, guys. Keep your ears out for that. And yeah, bear down, Chi-Town.
Take it easy, Darius.
Hey, take
Brandon.
it easy.
Have a good night, fellas.
Y'all be cool, man.
See you guys.